started. I know there's still people kind of popping in, but we're going to go ahead and get going. So this will give everyone time to kind of log in while we do our initial reflection here. So if you have a candle, let's go ahead and light our candles. And this is kind of a way that we can sort of create some community here as well. Of course, my lighter is not working, so let me grab another one. Should check that. So it kind of sets a little sacred space for all of us to have a candle. And then we're going to take a couple of moments to reflect on what is sacred to us. And I want you to think kind of beyond just the aspect of our faith, religion, spirituality, but what is it that you really hold sacred? There's a lot of different definitions of this word. And one of them is entitled to reverence and respect. So what is it in your life that really is entitled to reverence and respect? Maybe that's family, maybe that's your own spiritual practice, maybe it's your health, really sacred this time that we're living in. So take a moment and maybe jot down a few words and maybe a couple sentences about what is sacred to you. And we can use this in our practice today. And we'll just kind of keep reminding ourselves of what it is we hold sacred as we do this practice. And maybe there's one particular word that really stands out as you do that little bit of free-form journaling. See what comes up for you. So I'm going to give you guys just a couple more moments to do that as we're waiting for a few more people to join in. If you finish your writing, you're welcome to just start sitting in meditation. Remember, you can always start your music as well. If you're choosing to play music this morning, there is a link in the chat box to the Spotify playlist that I created, or you can choose to use your own music as well. Suggest to play it on a separate device so you can manage the sound of my voice versus the sound of your music separately. Okay, so we're going to find a comfortable seated meditation now. So I know it's sometimes challenging to sit, so I'm sitting up on a pillow. You can find something, you can sit up on a bolster, or a couple of bed pillows, if you have a meditation cushion. You can be flat on the ground if you're comfortable there. And we're going to take a moment just to sit, and we'll be tuning into what in yoga we call the sacred geometry of our bodies. So go ahead and settle into your seated meditation posture. And if cross-leg is not comfortable for you, feel free to take your legs out. And in this whole practice, always feel free to do something that is better for your body, just to stay safe. There's nothing, it's very gentle practice today, but if there's anything that doesn't feel good, feel free to change it up, feel free to modify. Now, if you're comfortable, let's go ahead and close our eyes. And start to find a very soft breath into your belly. So a lot of times we're just kind of holding that belly in. I want the structure and the strength to come from lengthening your spine, not from sucking the belly in. Want the belly to feel soft and supple, so that as you breathe, you can allow the belly to kind of rise and fall. And that allows for the diaphragm to move up and down, which is much healthier, much more optimal way of breathing. It's going to be more calming for your nervous system and help you relax a little bit. Allow your shoulders to soften away from your ears. And as you feel a little heavier through your base, through your sit bones, get a little lighter through the crown of your head, through your cranial bones, and really float the crown of the head upward toward the ceiling. So in yoga, sacred geometry is often referred to as a yantra, Y-A-N-T-R-A. So we're going to visualize our body as a yantra. And the shape of this yantra is a pyramid. So I'd like you to visualize the base of your body, which would be like your legs, your sit bones, your pelvic floor, as the square of a pyramid. And then that comes to an apex at the top of your head. So top of the head, like the top of the pyramid, reaching up toward the sky. And the shape of a pyramid is often considered very sacred. It can be a symbol of ascension, of rising upward. So just kind of have that feeling of the crown of the head being the point, reaching upward, creating space in the body. And the body itself, imagining it as sort of this inner sanctum, maybe like a cathedral. And bringing to mind those sacred words that you journaled. And just let the sound of that in your mind kind of resonate, reverberate into this inner sanctum this morning. Now, at the base of the body, we have the square of the pyramid. And in sacred geometry of the body, we're going to start to create kind of a stacking of shapes. So I'd like you to bring your hands to your belly now, right below your navel, so nice and low. And here we're going to visualize the shape of a circle. So we can visualize this as our pelvic bowl, the contents of our lower belly, the organ body. And just visualize this as a shape of a circle. This is home to the water element in our body, place where we create fluidity, relating to our emotional life, our creative life, and our ability to go with the flow in life. Take another breath into this circular shape of the belly. And now we're going to bring our hands up into our heart space. One hand on top of the other. And here we're going to imagine two triangles, kind of superimposed on top of each other. One triangle points downward toward the earth, and one triangle points upward toward the sky. This is the kind of symbol of the heart chakra, because our heart is where we connect to both spirit and matter. So that downward pointing triangle refers downward toward the earth, toward existence, toward manifestation. And that upward pointing triangle points up toward the sky, toward the ethereal, towards spirit. And it can remind us that we are both of this earth and we are spirit as well. Take another breath into your heart space. And then from here, we're going to bring our hands up a little higher, just at the base of the throat, right around the area of your collarbone. So just keep it a little bit below so you don't feel like you're kind of cutting off your circulation here, but just gently place your hands at the base of your throat. And here we symbolize and visualize the shape of a crescent moon. And the shape of the crescent moon is kind of stacked on top of the square and the circle and the superimposed triangles, symbolizing space, symbolizing the sky, symbolizing spirit. And it is here in our throat center that we connect to our truth, to our voice, to speaking our truth. Take one more breath into your throat space, into this crescent moon. And then release your hands down onto your legs. Keep the eyes closed if you can. And now we'll visualize right at the brow center. So this is the mystical third eye in the yoga tradition. And I want you to visualize a point, just a dot, right at the brow center. And this dot symbolizing our connection to our spirit world, to our imagination. And it's concentrated awareness. So see if you can really focus on this idea of this single point. And as you take a few more moments to focus on that point, then we're going to begin to move on. I'm going to share a little reading with you as you breathe here. This is from a book called The Wakeful Body. In Buddhism, there is an idea that the body is by nature a mandala, a sacred universe. In this sacred universe of the body, everything that unfolds is a blessing. The principle of the mandala has to do with the idea of how we perceive our world is a choice. We can perceive this world as a dingy, dirty, unpleasant place, or we can perceive our world as a paradise. When we say the body is a sacred universe, this is an encouragement to dwell on the body in its vastness, mystery, strength, and all the small ways it miraculously supports life. Like the mandala inhabited with moody and colorful deities, the body is home to bliss, pain, joy, sorrow, fear and trust, anger and peace. All of these live in the body. It is possible to view the body's entire complexity, its symphony, the whole picture, as a richness, as a sacred dance. All the tension and darkness of our embodied life is held in scaffolding of balance and symmetry, a natural order that is hard to see, like the ocean's turbulence held by its depths. All right, let's conclude the meditation now by bringing the hands together in front of the heart space. And just take a simple bow of your head toward your heart. All right, go ahead and release. And I've had you sitting for quite a while now. So we're gonna take the legs out and just stretch them out for a moment. Put your hands behind you and just circle your feet around a little bit. Circle those ankles, circle the other direction. And then just point, flex your feet a few times. Okay, let's bring the feet flat and hands are still behind us. Let's windshield wiper the legs a little bit side to side. And as your legs windshield wiper side to side, start to look over your opposite shoulder. So just getting a little bit of fluidity into that area of the hips since we've been sitting for a while. Do that 2 more cycles on each side. Just got a little tickle. Let me grab a drink. And then we'll come back to the center. Let's bring the soles of the feet together and allow the knees to drop open. You can stay up on your prop, or if you prefer, you could take it out at this time. So I'm going to take it out. So we're coming into a bound angle shape. Some of you might want to have support here under your knees if that feels better. Okay, we're going to take a seated cat-cow with our legs in bound angle. So cat-cow, I'm going to go sideways so some of you can see if you're new to yoga. We're going to inhale and arch our spine. Contract your back muscles, gaze up a little bit. And then as you exhale, round your spine. Let your shoulders come forward, let your head drop. And then we're going to continue that. Inhale, arch your spine, contract your back. Exhale and round your spine. So go ahead and just do that one a few more rounds. So we're going to be moving, and then we're going to come into stillness. So we're going to alternate between movement and stillness today. 3 more cycles, and I'd like you to move nice and slow. So see if you can keep that meditative flavor in the movement as well as in the stillness. 1 more cycle, please. And then we're going to slowly start to return to a vertical position. We're going to slide the feet away from us a little bit, but still with this kind of bound angle shape, but it's a little bit longer. Again, you might want something under your knees. We're going to take our sit bones and kind of pull them apart and slightly back behind you, which will help you fold into a forward fold. Some of you might feel more comfortable staying right here, especially if you have anything going on in your lower back. If you prefer, we're going to come into a forward fold from here. So we'll inhale, lengthen up through the spine. And then as you exhale, we're going to slide forward. And you don't have to go as far as I'm going, go as far as you like. And we're going to let the head start to drape downward. So allow this to be kind of a sensation of going inward. And come to focus on the soft flow of your breath. So allowing that sense of the belly being soft, the belly rising and falling. Allow your shoulders to be really soft. Your spinal muscles spreading away from the spine. And allow yourself to be effortless here. So are you holding on? Are you holding yourself up? Can you let yourself soften a little bit more? So here's the yin part of the practice. Our practice is Soma yin. So the Soma is the movement and the repetition of different patterns. And then the yin is the holding and the softening and the letting go. And yin really refers to this kind of yielding aspect that relates to the season of winter. So in winter time, we're kind of in this letting go phase of nature, where nature is going inward to replenish its own roots. So the plant is dormant, but the roots are storing up energy so that when the light starts to return, we have that sense of being able to recreate life. So we're going to stay here for about 5 more breaths. Just allow it to be nurturing. Nurture your roots as you release into this posture. As you take these last few breaths, can you focus on the exhalation phase? So that kind of dissolving part of the breath. And allow yourself to really dissolve into that exhale and release a little bit more. One more breath here. And then we're going to very, very slowly start to come up. Take your time. And when you get to the top, you're going to just take a pause. Try not to do anything too quickly today. I want you to move in slow motion. Winter is slow. And then we're going to bring those knees together and stretch the legs out for a moment. Maybe bounce them out, wiggle them out. Take your hands back behind you onto the ground. Push down into the ground. Lift and open your heart. Pull the palms apart. And imagine your heart has a string up toward the sky. Let the heart lift. Let the heart feel light. Take another breath cycle here. And then slowly release. Okay, we're going to come back into cross legs, if that's comfortable. So you might want to pull your support back in, if that's helpful for you. And we're going to take the arms and reach them up and overhead. And with the arms reaching up and overhead, just reach through one arm and then the other arm. And as you do, start to spiral through your wrists and your fingers a little bit. Just kind of turning them in and out. Just feel like as if you're a plant that is starting to unfurl itself toward the light. So climbing up a couple more cycles, and we lengthen the side body here, creating space. Good, and then go ahead and release those arms down. And just take your shoulders and roll them out a few times. And then roll them in the opposite direction. Good. Take the arms out wide to a T. So we're going to do another movement pattern. As you inhale, we're going to turn the palms toward the back and arch the spine like you're doing a back bend. Maybe gaze up. Those back muscles are contracting again. And then as you exhale, turn the palms down and round your spine, curl inward. And then repeat that. So it's almost again like our cat-cow. Inhale, open up, arch, roll the arms back. Exhale, roll the arms forward. So we do a lot of this kind of arching and rounding in somatic yoga. And there's a reason for that. When we arch our spine in a back bend, our spinal muscles are contracted, and it is a little more stimulating for our nervous system. And then when we round our spine, it's a little bit more kind of calming for the nervous system, but it can also be a little bit depressing if we're in that shape all the time. So when we alternate between a contracted and a rounded spine, it's starting to bring a little bit more balance into our nervous system. And we're helping the flexibility of our spine as well. One more like this. And then on your next inhalation, go ahead, take those arms, reach them overhead again. And as you exhale, bring your hands down to the ground in front of you. From here, we're going to take a sway from side to side. And just let that sway be really soft and start to maybe walk your hands out a little bit more. So it's like we're teasing the body into this forward fold. Once you feel like you've gone as far as it'll feel right for you, pause. Take your sit bones and draw them back behind you to help lengthen your lower back. And then we drop into stillness again. Let your head release and find that soft breath into your belly. Remind yourself again of those words that bring to mind the sacred. Help you remember what is sacred to you. How often in our lives do we make time for what is sacred to us? We all have our obligations and all the things that we have to do. And what is sacred to us often gets pushed to the side. But if it is that thing that deserves our respect and our reverence, shouldn't it be placed a little higher on our priority list? Take a few more moments here, just settling in, following your breath, and staying present. Try not to get out of your body back up into your head. Keep dropping your awareness into sensations that you're feeling in your body. Last 3 breaths. And just like we did before, really let those exhales, really soft, long, sweet. The sense of surrender. After you finish your next exhale, start to slowly pad your hands back. And once you get to the top, pause in the vertical shape. So try not to move quickly. We want this to be really meditative. And then let's go ahead and switch the legs out. And we're going to just repeat that same sequence with the opposite leg in the front. So this works on the hips a lot when we come into these forward folds. So we'll take the arms out wide again. And as you inhale, turn the palms back, arching the spine. And as you exhale, palms roll down, head drops, curl the spine inward. And continue. So we alternate between a little bit more sympathetic nervous system to parasympathetic. We wouldn't want to be stuck in either one of these phases. If we were to be stuck kind of more in the back bendy phase, and a lot of us have a mild version of that, the spinal muscles are kind of squeezing in toward our spine and can help us feel a little bit more anxious, a little bit more fight flight. And if we were stuck in the slight rounded phase, it's kind of this heavy feeling, a little bit depressing. So we want to find more neutral eventually. So we go back and forth here to help repattern where we might be stuck. Last one. And then inhale, reach those arms up. Exhale, bring your hands forward. And just pause a little bit higher up and start your gentle sway side to side. Noticing sensations through your hips, through your back, and walking those palms out to your capacity. Once you feel like you've gone as far as you'd like to go ahead and pause. Send your sit bones back behind you to lengthen your lower back, and then let your head release. Allow this stillness to be sacred. sacred time for yourself. Give back to yourself after all that you do in this world. And it can remind us to make self-care sacred time for ourselves. Finding those nice, long exhalations. A lot of times we're more focused on our inhale. And the way I teach yoga is more about focusing on our exhales. Because exhales help us release. They help us detoxify. And if we have a nice, complete exhalation, we're going to have a more complete inhalation as well. Let yourself linger in the phase of the exhalation. One more breath cycle here. When you are ready to, slowly start to use your hands, walk yourself back up, and then pause when you get to the vertical shape. Take a full cycle of breath here. And then we're going to lean back and straighten those legs out again. Let's take a moment, maybe bounce them out after sitting cross-legs. And then we're going to bend the right knee and bring that foot in close to the body and hug your shin. Pull on the shin, lift your chest, draw your shoulders back. Left leg, we're going to keep that leg rooting into the ground, spread out through your toes. I'm going to keep the left hand hugging the shin. Take the right arm and extend it up toward the ceiling. Inhale here, try to touch the ceiling. And as you exhale, circle that arm to the back, and we're going to come into a twist. So as you inhale, lengthen up through the crown of the head. And as you exhale, we're turning toward the right side. As you turn to the right side, let your left leg draw forward a little bit and your right hip draw back a little bit. This helps keep our SI joint, lower back a little happier in this pose. We're going to hold here with a little bit of gentle movement. So we're going to inhale, lift up tall, and as you exhale, look over your back shoulder. Inhale back a little bit toward the front. Exhale, look over your back shoulder, reach through that left leg. Let's do that a few more rounds. Inhale, you unwind the twist a little bit. Exhale, turn into it. So twists are really beneficial for our spine and our nervous system as well. So we're stimulating all of these muscles and tissues that support the vertebra. Let's do that 3 more times. Inhale, release a little bit. Exhale, twist. The whole time you're keeping that good length in the spine. We don't want to twist with our spine collapsed. But after this next one, hold the twist here for a few breaths. Sit bones are dropping down a little heavier into the ground. Crown of the head is floating upward. And a nice soft breath in your belly, even as your spine gives you that strength to sit up tall. So spine is strong, but belly is soft. Gaze is soft. One more breath. Now to come out of this, we're going to inhale to make sure we're lengthening and unwind. Straighten that leg out and pause for a moment. Take another breath cycle here and just maybe feel the kind of after effects of that twist in your body. So in somatic yoga, we get really subtle in our awareness of what we're feeling in our bodies. Let's take the other side now. Bend the left knee, bring that foot in close, and then hug your shin. Pull on the shin to help you lift your spine, take your shoulders back, and lift up nice and light through the crown of the head. Right hand holds on, left arm reaches up. Inhale, try to touch the ceiling, and then make a big circle. Take that arm back behind you onto the ground. And then we're going to let that right leg shoot a little forward, left hip back, so we get a little more space in the SI joint, the sacrum, lower back. Inhale, lift up tall. Exhale, look over your back shoulder, twisting your spine. And then we inhale to unwind a little bit, but keep the length. Exhale back into the twist. Feel that squeezing of the spine muscles. Couple more rounds on your own. Just let it be really meditative. One more cycle, and then we're going to hold it. Now, as you hold the twist, sit bones drop down, crown of the head floats upward. Feel that strength in the spine, feel the twist in the spine, but then see if we can have a softer belly. Breathe into the lower abdomen. Next inhalation, unwind it back to the center, and then stretch that leg out. Pause for a moment. Take a breath. Okay, from here, we're going to take the legs into a straddle position. Now, if this is challenging for you, grab a couple of your pillows, stick them under your knees, and make sure you're sitting up on a prop as well. And you can bend those knees as much as you need to. What I don't want you to do is pitch back and drop your spine. I want you to be able to sit up tall, okay? So if you can, the legs are straight. If you need to modify, just put those pillows underneath there for support. And then we're going to start a soft circle around. And as you circle, let that circle be really soft and slow. And I want you to almost feel like you're not actually doing the work here, that it's gravity just starting to draw you into this circle. Reminding us of the cyclical nature of nature itself. The circle of light, as we are now in this kind of darker phase of our year, this more yin, this more inner focused time. Nature beckons us to really go inward in the winter, but we resist it. And we try to keep our busyness instead of maybe taking that time to reflect, to slow things down. Let's go the other direction now. Just be very passive if you can. So you're using less muscular effort. And it's very kind of soothing, lulling for the mind and the body. All right, back to the center. And just like we've been doing, we're going to now come into more of a hold. We're going to bring our hands in front of us and start to walk the hands out any amount. You don't have to go far. We're not going to go all the way to our deepest point yet. So pause when you feel like that first initial stopping point. And if it's okay for you, close your eyes. Come to your soft breath. And let your tongue rest in the bottom of your mouth so that it feels really soft. This is a little nervous system hack I learned this year. Excuse me. When we relax the tongue in the bottom of the mouth, it starts to get like in the pool of moisture there. And it sends a signal to the body that we're safe and that we can relax. When we're stressed and we're in more fight flight, the mouth gets drier. So we want that moisture in the mouth, in the tongue. And now, just like we did before, we're going to take a sway side to side. Maybe feel that gentle pull through the hamstrings and the hips. And if it would feel good for you, walk it out a little bit more. And again, don't force it. Just go to where it feels right for you. And once you feel like you've gone as far as it feels good, go ahead and pause. You can also pull in props here if you want. You could put pillows under your arms. You could put something under your head and let your head rest. Or you can just keep it simple and just stay right here. Finding that soft breath. The sit bones tip back behind you, and that might allow you to drop in a little bit farther. As you stay here, start to become effortless. So really let your body surrender into the pose. And if it's challenging, focus on your breath. And that often helps the tissues release a bit. Tightness in our tissues is often related to our stress levels. It can also be related to the temperature, right? So when we're cold, that's a stress, and our body might tighten up. It can also be a response to an injury. So if we've maybe overextended ourselves, the body's going to tighten up in an effort to protect that vulnerable area. So if we work with our breath, starts to allow those tissues to feel safe enough to release. We can work with that soft tongue in the bottom of the mouth. And even allow our eyes to be soft and still. Let's take a few more breath cycles here. This will be our last seated pose for now. We're going to be making our way to some work on our backs. So take your time, take one more breath. And then very slowly starting to walk your hands up. Try not to yank on your back muscles, go slowly. And then we're going to use our hands, pull those knees up and bring the legs together. Okay, so we're going to come on our backs. And some of you might feel better with something under your head here initially. Some of the movements, we're going to take that support out. But go ahead and come down on your back. And that should feel really nice after all that seated work. Seated work can be hard on the body because a lot of us aren't used to sitting on the floor if we're not doing yoga regularly. So bend your knees and put your feet flat, hands on your belly. And just take a few breath cycles. Let your spinal muscles relax into the ground. We're going to take those arms out to a T, right out to the side. Widen your feet a little bit away from each other. And then begin a soft windshield wiper of your legs side to side, just like we did when we were seated. And we'll start to take the head opposite of the knees. We have a few options here. We can start to press into the edges of the feet, which will cause the hips to lift a little bit, and you'll get a little bit of a deeper stretch through the hip flexor area, the IT band area. So if that feels good, as the knees drop, press into the edges of your feet. Another add-on, as you press into the edges of your feet, press your head in the opposite direction, but just gently. I don't want you to be aggressive with your neck. So it's a very soft press. And as you turn your head opposite of your knees and you press your head, you might also press that arm and that shoulder gently into the ground. And that adds a little bit of extra engagement of the muscles. And as we release it, it's helping the brain, body, nervous system remember how to relax. So we intentionally create a contraction and then a release. One more time on each side. And then we're back to the center. From here, we're going to cross the right ankle over the left knee, creating a figure 4 shape with our legs. And then the arms are out to a T again, and we're doing the same movement pattern, windshield wiper the legs, but now with this ankle to knee cross. So as the legs drop to the right, look to your left. And just notice how that changes things a little bit. As the legs go to the left, look to your right. And then let this movement be slow motion, so that you can be aware of every little nuance of the sensation in your body. We might have those same add-ons. We might press through the foot, the head, the arm, if that feels good. Now the next time your legs go to the left, we're going to let them stay there. And see if they'll drop all the way to the ground. If they don't, you're going to use one of your props underneath your legs for a little bit of lift and support. You could put a pillow under your bottom leg. If it feels good, let those legs come all the way to the ground. And we have some options here as well. If this crossing of the legs feels like too much in your back or your hip, you could stack your knees on top of each other, a little more gentle. You could scoot the legs a little bit forward, a little lower, a little higher. So make any adjustments that would feel good in your back. If the legs crossed feels good, keep it. Try to even your shoulder blades out on the ground. And then your gaze could be neutral here. So could gaze up toward the ceiling or look over your opposite shoulder. And then once again, we're dropping into stillness. Nice breath in your belly. Allow your facial muscles to melt. Let go of any tension in the face. The brow nice and smooth, your jaw soft. Let's take 2 more breath cycles right here. Nice long exhale. And after that second breath cycle, go ahead and come back to the center. Keep that ankle to knee cross. From here, we're going to see if we can hold on to our foot and our knee and pick the foot up off of the legs. You're going to do like a little baby cradle. You're going to hold onto your shin and your foot, and we're going to rock it side to side. So just getting a little bit more into the hips. If you want to deepen this, you could slide your left leg out long. So that might feel like too much. If it is, just keep it bent. And then finding stillness here. Couple of breaths. Flex the foot. So we don't want to like sickle the ankle joint. So if we flex the foot, there's a little more integrity in that joint. Hold here 2 more breaths. I know this is a little bit of a deeper one, so you can always bend that knee. And then we're going to release that foot down, both feet flat. And just feel and sense into that right leg, right hip. And we'll do the other side. So cross that left ankle over, take the arms out to a T. And then start your windshield wiper side to side. Let your head go opposite of your legs. Maybe pushing into the foot, pressing the opposite head, shoulder down on that opposite side. And moving slow motion. Feel what you feel. We are a culture of avoiding feeling. We have all these different mechanisms we use to avoid feeling, all of our addictions, whether that's to substances or shopping or television. We have so many distractions to help us avoid what we feel in our bodies and in our hearts. Couple more each side. And now the next time you come over to the right, we're holding that twist. So remember, you have some options there. If it's fine, just as it is, leave it be. Maybe adding something under that bottom leg so it's not quite so deep. Maybe stacking the knees on top of each other. The arms could stay out to a T. Gaze could be straight up or look over that opposite shoulder. And then come into your breath. Still allow for that stillness once again. Remember the sacred. Every exhalation, dissolve the body into the ground a little more. Soften to your arms, your palms, and fingertips. One more breath cycle here. And then very slowly make your way back to the center. Even out your hips And then let's come into that baby cradle. So you're gonna see if you can hold your foot or wrap your arms around your shin. Sometimes this depends on how long your arms are. And we're gonna rock that shin back and forth. Again, if it would feel good, that right leg could straighten out. That'll be a little more demanding on the hip flexor. So listening to your body. Keep the left foot flexed, so we're protecting the ankle joint. All right, go ahead and bend that right knee again, set that foot down for a moment, and then both feet flat. And let's slide it all out. Just take a little mini shavasana. We're not done yet, but just drop into the ground. Give yourself a moment to let your mind process all that work you just did. Let's take another breath or two here, soft breath. Now, if it would feel okay for you, we're going to take the pillow out if you have one under your head, because it'll probably be in the way for the next couple of poses. And we're going to take a full body stretch. Reach out long through your arms and your legs. And then we're going to alternate between right side, left side. Take your right arm, right leg, stretch it long. And you might even squeeze that leg toward the floor, engage the leg muscles, reach, 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 and then let it soften back to the start. Now, if this is hard on your arms, you can go in goalpost position as well. Otherwise, arms are straight. Do your left side. Reach through the left leg, left arm. Maybe press that left leg down toward the ground. It's like you're waking up in the morning, taking a good stretch. And then release. And let's do that a couple more times on each side. And feel like the stretch comes from deep in your belly and your groin. You're just lengthening your psoas and your hip flexor muscle. We're going to go side to side a few more times. How long can you get here in your body? A lot of us have tightness in our hip flexors and our psoas because as a culture, we sit a lot and that shortens that muscle and that can affect our lower back. It can affect our pelvic tilt and it can even affect our emotional states when this is very contracted. One more time, and then we're going to release. Let your arms come back down. Take a pause. And then we're going to bend the right knee, place your foot flat. We're going to drop that right knee open like you're in tree pose on your back. If that knee doesn't feel happy there, give it a little support with a pillow. And then take your left arm back overhead. So left side body is in a full body stretch. Your right hand is going to be down by your side or on your inner thigh of the right leg. So this is the somatic tree pose. Very similar to what we just did. We're going to inhale and lengthen through the left leg, left arm. Let your head roll to the right. And squeeze your right hip up towards your right shoulder and right shoulder towards your right hip. And then relax, come back to the start. So the left side is lengthening. The right side is contracting. Do that a few more rounds. Left side, inhale, lengthen. Right side contracts. Let your head roll toward that right shoulder. Maybe engage those left leg muscles, arm muscles. One more time. Good, and then slide the right leg out. Pause for a breath. And then we'll do that on the other side. Bend your left knee, foot flat. Drop the left knee out to the side. So you're in tree pose on your back, right arm overhead, full body stretch. As you inhale, lengthen right side from deep in the hip, in the groin, and then contract the left side. And then softly release. And let's do that one a few more rounds. Inhale, reach, lengthen. Again, you might engage the leg, press the leg. So all of those things are optional. Sometimes it's nicer just to be softer, but sometimes we need that little extra engagement to get those muscles to lengthen. So see what feels right for you. Somatic is all about listening to our own bodies. One more cycle. And then release. We're gonna slide that leg out, take a pause. I'm just gonna check our time. We are running out of time, guys. So I'm gonna take a brief pause here. So we're gonna come up in a moment for one more seated posture. And then we're gonna take, excuse me, our restorative Shavasana relaxation pose. Bend your knees, roll to your side. And maybe a little pause, just so we don't rush up. And then very slowly starting to return up into a seated posture. And we're gonna grab the pillow to sit on again. And you might wanna have a few extra pillows, blankets, or cushions nearby for this next sequence. So one more seated posture. And it's in yoga, we call it fire log. So today it'll be our Yule log. So we're gonna start out with a modification. It's a little bit more of a challenging pose for our hips. So what I'd like you to do is bring your left foot in and your right foot is gonna come in the front. So they're staggered a bit. Okay, and you're kind of lining the heels up with your pelvic floor. Pull those sit bones a little bit apart. And then we'll sit up tall for a moment. Here's where you might want those extra pillows underneath the knees. If they feel a little unhappy here, a little tender, give them some support, especially if they're elevated a lot, put something under them. Okay, now we're gonna inhale, sit up tall, and as you exhale, hinge at your hips and see if you can bring your hands onto the floor in front of you. And we're gonna start that kind of swaying, exploratory movement and start to fold toward that right foot. Sit bones kind of stick out behind you and take a few breaths. I'm gonna give you guys some options to deepen this. Okay, some of you might wanna stay right here. If this is already a lot of sensation, don't go any farther. Those of you who wanna try to go farther, walk yourself up. And we're gonna see if we can take that top leg and stack it on top of the bottom leg, like fire logs. Okay, this is a challenging pose. We worked up to it with all the baby cradle and all the things we did. If this doesn't feel good, stick with this version instead, or you can do a cross leg instead, okay? So those of you who want to come into fire log, Yule log today, widen your sit bones out. And again, you might choose to come into the forward fold. So that's gonna increase the sensation in the hips. So only going there if it feels right for you. You might do the little swaying. Sometimes that teases the body into coming deeper. Sit bones are sticking behind you to deepen your pelvic tilt. And then let's hold here for 3 more breaths. You might feel a little burn in the hip of that fire log pose. See if you can breathe through it and remember the secret. Nice soft exhale, last breath. And then we're gonna slowly, slowly start to come up. Lean back, take those legs out. You might windshield wiper, you might stretch them out, circle around, bounce them around, and then we'll try the other side. Okay, so now right foot comes in, left foot is kind of lined up in front. We might all want to start there just to kind of prepare. Add those supports as needed. Sit bones pulling back and apart. And then you could come forward for a few breaths. Always feel free to add in a little sway if that feels good for you. And then maybe after a few breaths, you could go into that second version. You can stay right here if that's enough, or go ahead and come up. And we'll come into our fire log, our Yule log, stacking the shins up as best you can. We're going to keep the feet flexed to protect the ankle joints. Notice one side is probably tighter than the other. Again, we'll support underneath here is often helpful. You can stay upright or hinge from your hips and start to fold forward. Swaying it out, if that helps you tease the body into going a little farther. Sit bones drawing back, soft breath. Long exhalations. All right, very slowly starting to come up. That was our peak pose. We're gonna stretch it out again, maybe windshield wiper, our legs out straight, whatever feels right. And then we're gonna set up for our restorative posture. We might end a few minutes late, just a heads up. So we're gonna grab the props that we collected in the beginning. So we're gonna take either 2 bed pillows or your bolster and put that right along your mat. And then something for your head. So that could be a pillow, a folded blanket. If you have yoga blocks, you could also elevate this to make it on an incline. Some people like that a little better. And then we're gonna need 2 additional props. Square pillows from your sofa. I have yoga blankets. You can use yoga blocks. And we're going to be coming into reclining down angle. I'm also going to give you an alternate pose if you've had enough of opening your hips today. So we're going to sit in front of that bolster. I'll give you guys a moment to get all that. And you want to be maybe like one handprint between your body and the bolster. It gives you a little bit of space for your lower back. When you come back, we want to find length in the spine. So put your hands behind you and lift your heart a little bit and lengthen yourself back. So your spine is nice and lengthened as you recline. Make sure your pillow is only on your head, not your shoulders. And then option here, bend your knees and drop the knees out to the side into that bound angle shape. And you'll use those props underneath your knees, underneath your thighs for support. If you've had enough of this hip opening business, you could go ahead and just keep the legs straight. You could put a pillow or a blanket under your knees. And you could also, if you have extra props, cover yourself up. So maybe some weight over those hips, whether you're in bound angle or legs straight. If you have something to cover your eyes, that would also be lovely here, just so you can really relax your eyes. So I'm going to keep the legs out straight, but I'm going to come up in a moment to guide you in your relaxation. So go ahead and make any final adjustments so that you feel really comfortable, so that you feel warm, symmetrical, and that there's an ease to this pose. There's no pain, there's no, too much stretching. We want it to be really comfortable. And now as you settle in, come to a soft breath again. The rise and fall of the belly. And we might imagine that the breath is so soft, like the hush of falling snow in the evening, when everything's quiet outside around you. But you're inside, cozy, warm, protected. Let the exhales be equally soft as the inhale. As if that breath were really nourishing your whole body with every cycle. Allow the eyelashes to also be really soft like snowflakes. And let your body start to dissolve into the ground like that melting snow. As if that warmth all around you just helps your body really release and drop into the ground, melting any remaining tension, softening all of the tissues of the body. Layer by layer, releasing from the outside to the inside. So that we start to feel this almost exposure of the sacred interior. In our stressful lives, it's almost as if we create body armor, layers of tension that serve to protect us. But our yoga practice helps us unwind all of those layers of tension so we can touch in to the sacred interior, to the soft, vulnerable part inside of us. So allow that part of you to be present here in this final pose of our practice. I'm going to give you guys a couple more minutes to rest in quiet. All right, everyone, we're going to start to come back to awareness. And we're going to try not to move just yet. So first, just become aware of your body on the ground. Become aware of your breath again. Maybe let that breath deepen a bit. And just notice how you feel here at the end of this sacred time with your mind, body, and spirit. And as you feel ready to do so, you can start to maybe invite in some smaller movements, but really go slow motion. Try not to rush out of your relaxation. It will disturb all that energy we just created. So let it be slow, soft. Maybe the legs will stretch out if you're in that bound angle shape. Add a little wiggle into fingers and toes. Maybe your head rolls gently from right to left. And then take your time, let that movement get maybe a little bigger, maybe a stretch or two. And then we're going to pause on one side. So go ahead, when you're ready to, roll to one side and try not to pop right up. This is a transition back into the rest of your busy day. So let's hold on to that sweetness another moment or two. When you feel ready to, use your arms, press yourself slowly up to a seated posture. And then whatever feels comfortable for you, sit up tall again. So we're going to take a moment to finish here. Just another minute or two to sit. Let's put our hands right flat on the heart space. Feeling your hands over your heart, breathing here. Maybe the eyes close again for a few moments. And just connect with that sacred architecture of the body, that sacred interior, that pyramid shape, the square on the bottom, the point kind of ascending toward the sky. Helping us to connect both to the ground, to our roots that nourish us, and to the sky, to light, to celestial light, to sun, moon, stars. Imagine this celestial light pouring in through the crown of your head. It's very nourishing, very healing. And once again, remind yourself of your sacred words or words. Know that your sacred architecture is like that of the universe itself. Know that you are a microcosm of the macrocosm. Let's bring our hands together now into prayer position. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, bowing your head toward your heart. And thank you so much, everyone. Namaste.